The Nitecore EDC33 promises a lot in a really small package for an excellent price point. I tested one out, used it at work and a lot of other tasks. Is it worth it? Should you go buy one? Stick around, I'll let you know. All right, so if you know me, you know that I'm pretty big on Nitecore anyway. Like, I've had their flashlights for, at this point, over a decade. My most recent one, what the heck is it? The P23i on my duty belt. Like that one a lot, but it's a big light. It's not a really good EDC light. And I just saw the ad for this, and I ordered it, the EDC33. And guys, it looked really interesting, at least on initial inspection, you know, in terms of the feature set that it claims to offer. So I wanted to test it out. Interestingly, it came with a quick start guide, and I don't normally spend a lot of time reading documentation, but I did want to point out, guys, this thing says, similar to any high output flashlight, this generates a large amount of heat. Always lock the flashlight when carrying it in pockets or on belts. So they're already warning you that you could get the wiener roast or the clam bake if you're not careful with this thing. And it does have powerful burst modes that can apparently rapidly generate significant heat. I'm curious to see what happens if we hold it down in those modes for a long period of time. It does have a sensor that if something's really close to the lens, it'll step down immediately. So in theory, that can keep you from roasting yourself in the nutsack. Let's unbox it real quick. I'll run some tests on it at some point. We'll see if it really meets the same output that it claims. 4,000 lumens out of a smaller light is an exceptional claim in my opinion. So I'm not saying they're lying, but holy crap, man, if they can pull that off, we will see. One of the interesting things about this light is that it's not using one of the bigger cells. It's using a 18650, I think. So much more pocketable. If you look at it, it's not that big, guys. It's really kind of, I don't want to say itty bitty, but you know, one-way pocket clip. You're not going to put this on the bill of your ball cap or anything, so it's not going to work for that. But we have a lockout mode here. We have a rotating little bezel to get to the USB-C port, so we don't have a flip-off cover. That seems much more durable to me. And the interesting thing about this is it's got like one big LED and it's got a bunch of smaller LEDs in there. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try and zoom in, but in the middle there, you can see like a little ring of LEDs and then one central one, and the littler ones I think are maybe smaller output. Comes with your USB-C charging cable, comes with a lanyard. The lanyard with this is a little more useful, I think, than some lanyards that I've seen. This one actually has a kind of a clip, and it also comes with a little piece of like cable to, I guess, tie it into something if you want to do that. I don't know. I don't even know that I'll play with those, but just interesting to me nonetheless. I'm not going to force you guys through any sort of reading on the light itself. That seems a bit counterproductive. All right, let's talk about user interface really quickly. One, if this switch shows lock, nothing will work. Like, this completely is locked out. When we take it off of lock, if we give it a full press, that turns it on. There we go. Now it's in ultra low mode right now. If I go a half click, that takes it up to low, then medium, and then high, and then back to low. And it has memory, mode memory, so if I turn it, come on, there we go. It's a little finicky at times. There are ways around it, but, and then once again, if I full press, it turns back on, and then same thing. So now we're at low, turn it off. Come on, there we go. Ugh, you see my hatred for this switch is becoming very apparent. And then once again, if you full press, come on, there. So the basic on and off function, I don't love it. We'll get to why I don't think it's such a big deal in a second, but at any point, if I half press and hold, I get the search mode, and this is the high candela mode, 1700 lumens claimed. And then if I full press, I get the lumen shield, which is super, super bright. So no video on a flashlight would be complete, pardon me, I'm dropping stuff, without beam shots. Here we are in the indoor basement laboratory on the low mode, which is claimed 5 lumens. You can see the close wall, far wall, you see just a little bit. And like I said, this is 5 lumens right now, the extra low mode. If I go up one, there is low, and that gives me a little more punch. There is medium, then there is high. So at this point, you can see a lot. I think this is claimed 1200 lumens. And then if I go to the search mode, this is 1700 lumens. Once again, not crazy. And then the lumen shield, supposedly 4000 lumens, darn close, but you know, still not blinding on the indoors, but it's a lot of light, you know, and if you got this in your face close up, I think it would kind of suck, but I don't hate it. Once again, the extra low. So there's your indoor beam shots. All right, so now if we're talking outdoor beam shots, this out the front of my house, 20 yards to the tree line. On the ultra low mode, you can see it on the fence, but you can't see it on the trees. It's just a little too diffuse. If we go to the regular low mode, a little bit brighter, still nothing on the trees, or just a little teeny bit. Then we have medium, then we have high. And then if we go to the search mode, we get a very sharp spot. And then the lumen shield mode, there's your almost 4000 lumens of light. And let's go to the corner, or the longer range. We'll take a look at that. All right, lastly, by much longer distance, that street light all the way over there is about 180 yards-ish. If I put on the ultra low mode, where are we here? There. If I put on the ultra low mode, you're not even seeing anything at this distance. There's low, there's medium, there's high. Yeah, that street sign out there, if you can see it at this distance, like I said, about 180 yards. There's the searchlight. You can see somebody walking their dog out there. And then there's the lumen shield, the 4000-ish lumens. So a good amount of distance on those modes if you want to use those. So let's talk about outputs. I brought out my exceptionally scientific and super not ANSI standard lumen testing apparatus, aka the lumen cooler. And I measured all of the different outputs on this light. I'll post them somewhere so you can see the claimed versus actual. I was pretty impressed with most of the outputs. The one sole exception would be the lumen shield. It claims 4000 lumens for that. I don't think anything with this size battery and the current LED technology in this size can hit 4000. It came close, you know, 3600-ish, but I'll tell you that I'm not seeing anything in this size or even slightly bigger really hit 4000. 4000 seems to be a hurdle that at least I, in my testing, am not seeing. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Like I said, my testing apparatus is cheap. You know, it is something I cobbled together myself, but understand that I've never seen 4000 out of something this size. But overall, I don't hate the outputs. I think, like I said, for something this small, these are, it's pretty incredible what this light can do. Seriously, I mean, look at it. If you look at the size of my hand and this light, I mean, it easily fits in a pocket, easily clips to a pocket, purse, backpack, pouch, belt, whatever. Or if you want to use the lanyard that I've tied onto it, that gives you additional options for hanging it off of things. Output's pretty good for something in this form factor. Let's talk in general about what I like about this light. I very much like the size. I think that it's probably the perfect size, at least for me, for an EDC light. It's not super big, doesn't have a bunch of grindy spots on it. Yeah, if you're trying to use it as a fist load for self-defense, you could. It's probably not ideal for that. But then again, if you're trying to use something this small in your fist for self-defense, that's not ideal, period. So I understand it is what it is, but the size and weight of this is exceptional. And given what they're getting out of this light for this size, I'm impressed. I think they did an excellent job with that. I like the lockout, as in the full lockout mode, where you see the little lock sign where you cannot engage any light. This makes it perfect for your pocket, and it's pretty hard to accidentally move the lockout button. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm pretty sure that in this lockout mode, you're very safe from your weenie roast or your clam bake. So I like that lockout a lot. No complaints of that. And when I pull it out of my pocket, the way the pocket clip indexes, if I put that pocket clip on the inside of my knuckles, then the lockout switch is right there. So it's very easy to get to that. I like the lockout. It's an excellent feature. I think any light that you may carry in a pocket needs some form of lockout. And the way that they've executed it on here, I like a lot. I think for its size, the output's exceptional. Don't know that anything with current technology is going to be able to get really much further past it. So I think the outputs, and especially the fact that most of them are pretty spot on, you know, they're pretty legit. So I like the outputs, and I'm not unhappy with that. I do also like the battery indicator. It's very easy to tell at a glance. If you just hit the button, then you see the lights on the side telling you, like right now I'm at somewhere between 51 and 75%. So it's really easy to tell, hey, when you turn on your light, if you start seeing those lights move to lower and lower, you know it's time to charge the light. You don't have to wait for it to fail on you to go, oh, now I probably should have charged it. The battery indicator is awesome as well. One more thing I like, which I didn't mention, and I probably shouldn't mention the price point because it can change, but this light was relatively inexpensive for what you get in a EDC style light of this quality and this caliber. At the time I'm filming this, it's right at 70 bucks. I don't know what it's going to be in the future, but the price for what you get, I think they did a really good job with that, so I have no complaints when it comes to price. I also like the charging. Instead of having to flip some rubber door open, just rotating the bezel on the back. And it's nice and stiff so it won't happen accidentally. Kind of uncovers the USB-C port, and then you just screw it again when you're done. You can tell when you're charging it, when it's done charging, so that's pretty awesome too. I'm always leery of those flap style doors that you see on a lot of lights. I've really only had one kind of come loose on me. The others that I've seen, like Nitecore do, have been pretty decent. So I can't really say real world I think they're problematic, but they worry me when it comes to the water tightness or water integrity of these lights. This seems to be a much more robust solution. When it comes to the dislikes, I have a few. And so I don't want to paint this as the rosy, perfect, no matter what, good for everything light. When it comes to the features and what you get, the things that I don't like. One, I think the switching to get to the normal modes is somewhat finicky. If you don't hit it exactly right, oh, see, I did it this time and I got the low, but a lot of times I'll get some other light. If you don't hit it perfect timing to get it, then it does not go into the normal modes. So, and that's the normal modes being extra low, low, medium, and high. Yep, see now I can do it on command, but some of my other footage, you'll see me goofing around with it. I end up with a whole bunch of extra light that I didn't want. And if you're trying to go someplace where you just want a little teeny bit of light, like, you know, nice 5 lumens, and you don't want to do a big light blast, see I did it there, just trying to turn it off there. I find that finicky. I don't love the switching when it comes to the normal modes. That may not be the death knell of the light, but the normal mode switching, it could have been executed better. 2, the proximity sensor. I like that they put the proximity sensor on it, but it really only works in one mode, and that's the high mode. Let's see, I have it in the high mode now, and if I get close, it steps down. But what's interesting is that if I go back to the high mode, on the high mode, it won't step down again unless and until I turn it off and then turn it back on again, and then the proximity sensor will work again, but it'll only work one time when it steps it back down to medium. And then if you want it to work again, you have to turn it off, turn it back on, and go into the high mode where it will work again. So if you're wondering why it only worked once, you basically got to reset the whole apparatus before it will do it again. Maybe not a red flag, not a deal breaker, but just understand that the proximity sensor really only works in one capacity in a limited set of circumstances, and for you to get it to engage again, you really have to reset the whole deal. It's not the end of the world, but it can be frustrating. I don't know that I care about this much, but I point it out because some people are probably going to care about it. This is an 18650 cell in here, but you can't swap it out. this light is 100% sealed. To open it up would have to require some tools or destruction that I'm not willing to do. And so I'm sure there are a lot of people who will be like, well, I want to have backup 18650s and I want to be able to switch them out as I want or need. Can't do it with this thing. If that's you and you want that ability, this is 100% not your light. Lastly, there is a half lockout mode where the normal lockout mode where I have it locked out and no switching works. If I turn it on and then hold the switch and hit the lockout, now you can't turn on normally, but you can get, if you half press and hold, the search, and if you full press, the lumen shield. So half lockout only gives you those two modes, and they are both temporary or momentary switching. So you can't just turn it on, but you can access the brighter lights. I don't know that I find half lockout to be that useful. So, see, it was getting finicky again, turning it on and off, but it may be useful to you. I should mention, by the way, and it's probably neither a like or a dislike, but when it comes to the higher outputs, the search and the lumen shield, you only get about 20 seconds of each if you go into it before it steps down. So if you're looking for, I want close to 2,000 lumens or I want close to 4,000 lumens and I want to search continually with that output, this is not the light for you. If you're using it in some sort of tactical or self-defense scenario, I think that 20 seconds is probably way more than enough. But given the size of this light and the amount of heat that it generates when you start using those high output modes, 20 seconds. And I verified it, like I'll roll in some footage you can see. Even if it steps down, you're still getting usable light, like in pretty bright, but you are not getting that full output that you get when you first blast those modes. So just be aware that when you're asking a lot of this light, it'll give it to you, but it won't give it to you very long. So my final thoughts on the EDC33. I like it. I think it gives you a lot for the money, so I can't complain about it. It has its flaws, it's not perfect. I don't know how I would redesign the switching to make it perfect, but it's not horrible. And why I say not horrible is that even with the goofy switching to get in the regular modes, where you have to press and release and you have to do it with a very specific time, to get into the really high output modes, that doesn't require the level of coordination. Like I can just half press, boom, now I got the search. Oh crap, there's somebody that needs a whole lot of light in their face, boom, I lumen shield them, I just hold it down. Mongo can press button really hard. So those outputs are easily accessible and they don't require a vast amount of coordination that I do not have. So for a self-defense or tactical, maybe not horrible. For a general EDC light where maybe I want to get into a really low lumen mode without doing some crazy blasting of everybody, I don't know. It's harder to get to. Now you could put it in the low lumen mode, leave it. But see, I'm trying to turn it off and it's doing there we go. Finally turned it off, try and turn it on. We got it. This is a coordination battle. And like I said, maybe that's just my struggle. I'm not the most coordinated kid at all times, but the ability to try and get in and out of regular modes on and off, I don't love that part. Don't hate the price. And to be clear, even after I kind of fully explored this light, I didn't set it aside. It's still been in my pocket at work and for non-work activities as well, to include walking the dogs, everything else. So it is broadly useful, but it's got its quirks. That's really all I'm going to say. I don't want to make this video 10 million minutes. It's a flashlight. It's a decent flashlight. I like it. The price point's excellent. Nitecore makes excellent product. I've never had any issue with any Nitecore product that I've owned, and I've owned several. So in general, if the feature set that I've outlined makes sense to you, then I'd tell you to buy this light. If those features, pluses and minuses, don't, there's other offerings that Nitecore has that are decent lights. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video at all, or if it's been helpful, useful, or informative, please do all those YouTube things. I really appreciate likes. And if you want to see more content like this, to include guns, knives, flashlights, other gear items, occasional fitness, Please subscribe. I usually put a long form video up at least once a week and some random shorts as the Spirit moves me. I will end this here. Guys, take care. Stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.
Get 'em, Jay.